Hi.
Hi. Welcome to Why Are We Like This, a Heartstopper podcast. I'm Ashley, she, her.
And I'm Alyssa, she, they. And today we're here to talk about episode 8, Boyfriend.
I have so many emotions.
I do too. I can't believe that we're on Boyfriend already.
Yeah. It's a quick little show.
Yes.
It's sad. I want more.
Yes. Full disclosure, Ashley and I were texting about this earlier, and we have both agreed that we're very likely both going to cry at least once during this recording. So buckle up.
Yeah.
All right. So season 1, episode 8, Boyfriend, was written by Alice Oseman and directed by Eros Lynn. And this is the episode where, as the boys and girls meet for sports day, Charlie's on the brink of breaking it all off with Nick, while Elle and Tao share a special moment. I'm already going to cry.
I know. I know. I'm already over here just like trying to hold it in.
Already going to cry.
Because it starts off super emotional too. So they like, from the get-go, it's hard.
It's like, hey.
But at least we know where it's going. So it's not going to be sad the whole time.
Yes. We start off in Charlie's room, and my note says, sad Charlie at the drums staring at his phone.
Yes. Also, this is the final piece of my favorite sweaters that he wears. I love this sweater. I love the colors. I love the pattern. Top notch.
Excellent sweater.
But Tao has not responded, but he read it 3 hours ago. And that hurts.
It does hurt. It hurts so bad. And Charlie puts his headphones on and he starts playing the drums, which is really cool. I want this drum kit. Yeah. I don't play the drums, but I want this drum kit. It reminds me, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the drum kit from like Rock Band.
Yes.
But like functional.
Yeah. The full electric set. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he is like taking it out on these drums, like getting it.
Yeah, to the point where Tori has to come in and she throws something at him to get his attention, which speaks to me deeply as an older sister.
Shoe.
It's her shoe.
She takes her house shoe off and throws it at him.
Mood.
She's having none of this.
Listen, I wouldn't either.
Yeah. Because it is loud, even when it, like, because they kind of give us both, right? Mm-hmm. We get to hear what it sounds like to Charlie with the headphones on, which is like the full drum sound. But then we also hear it from outside of the headphones, which is just like a bunch of like loud banging. So, yeah.
It's a really cool edit as well.
It is, yeah. Also, the just like the camera work in this whole scene, like later when they're talking, how it's like on the other side of the drums and it's like slanted through them, like very good camera work.
And Tori tells him that he's being too loud. And Charlie cannot fathom that he's being too loud because he has his headphones on. And therefore, no one else can hear it. I do love, though, that Tori is just like, you are, in fact, hitting the drums very loudly. Just like,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. It's still hitting things. It creates noise.
Yeah.
And Charlie does the really great, like, little brother non-apology.
Yeah.
Sorry, then.
With, like, a little shrug. Mm-hmm. And she's like, are you angry at anything in particular, or have you finally decided to have a rebellious phase? Which is a great line.
It's a great line. I love it. And Charlie doesn't answer either question. He just asks if Tori heard about Harry's fights with Nick and Tao, which he claims were both his fault. And Tori immediately calls bullshit because, as we know, and as she knows, that she wasn't even there, but she's like 95% sure that both of those fights were Harry's fault.
Which I still think is generous. 95%. I feel like 99%. It's Harry Green we're talking about.
This is true. But yeah, I think she is just trying to give that little bit of benefit of the doubt because she wasn't there.
Yeah. And this is like kind of when you can see her face like starts to get really, really serious. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's Tori, so her face is always serious, but like you can really tell that she's like, you know, she knows something serious is
It's
going
in the
on.
eyes. It's all in the eyes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And her mouth. The way her mouth just
Mm-hmm.
turns into a tighter frown.
It's very subtle, but it's very effective. He tells the whole story about Ben without saying that it's Ben.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of says that he liked this guy, but that said guy, I'm just going to say it's Ben. We know that he's not using the name, but I'm going to for the sake of clarity. So, he liked Ben, but Ben made him feel like he was ruining Ben's life and that he didn't want to be around Charlie, or that he didn't even want Charlie to exist. This part breaks my heart because then he goes into that Nick has lost all his friends and is getting into fights because of me, and he thinks that maybe he does ruin people's lives and it would be better if he doesn't exist. Tori is all of us in that moment, and she just says, "You're not ruining my life," and she just gives him this big hug.
She lurches forward too.
No,
as soon as the words come out of his mouth, she lurches forward and grabs him. And I am glad that we're getting this scene over with in the very beginning.
Same. I know. If it was, oh my God, it's thinking back to when we recorded Meet, and I was just dreading the whole time getting to the end of that episode. So at least now it's the beginning is really tense, but then it has a happy ending. So we're getting through it. I love this moment though, because Tori, she knows exactly what the logical conclusion of Charlie's thought process is, and she's not even gonna let him get to it. And I love that. She just hugs him, says, "You're not ruining my life," and just is there. And I'm already crying.
Yeah. I know. And then she offers to make pizza for dinner, and that's the last thing that Charlie wants right now.
Yeah.
And so he's, of course, I'm not very hungry and I might just eat later. And she just says, okay. And she keeps holding him. She's such a good sister.
Such a good sister. I love her.
So then we get our final title card.
And I love it.
Of season 1. It's so good.
So good. My note for it says, "This one makes me happy because I love the ocean."
Yeah. Also, it the title of it being Boyfriend is just another gentle little hug from Alice being okay, I know that scene was hard, but here's a little promise in the title card.
It's a happy ending. And then we go to Truum, and Isaac and Tao are sitting down in class, and I think this is a math class. I think we've seen them in this class before.
Yeah, this is the bisexual people exist class.
It is. The seat between them, which we know belongs to Charlie, is conspicuously empty. And I do, before we talk about the scene, have a side note. I don't know what this classroom layout is, where it's it's all of these tables that are two chairs per table, and they're all just in long rows, and it watching it makes me feel claustrophobic. All of the kids are trapped in their little section. I'm how do you get out of there?
Well, I mean, the teacher walks in the middle, so there's got to be a little bit of space.
Yeah, but it feels so cramped, and
yeah, it's definitely a tight space.
I don't like it. And I mean, I think too, just the way that it's shot, because it's very tight in on the 3 seats, but
yeah,
I don't like the layout. we haven't had an Isaac book in a while, because we haven't had a ton of Isaac. So I was very excited. We have 2 books in this episode, which I in my brain, I've been calling it Isaac's Book Watch, but I don't think I ever said that out loud. So
I don't think you did.
I'm saying it now. He's reading Gender Explorers, Our Stories of Growing Up Trans and Changing the World by Juno. I do not know if this is Roche or Roche. It is one of those 2 things. If it is not either of those 2 things, someone please let me know. And it is a collection of interviews with young trans people. And I love that. And I also love the color design, or the cover design of this book. It's a very aesthetically pleasing cover. So good job to the person who designed that cover.
Yeah, his books don't always catch my eye until I think about it, but this one I'm always looking at that cover.
It's very colorful.
And the font is good. So then Charlie comes in, And Isaac, like, sees Charlie come in, and then he looks over nervously at Tao, and then he, like, kind of half smiles when Charlie's, like, going to sit down, and then he kind of just looks like he wants to throw up. He's like, shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in the middle of this.
I don't envy Isaac at all in this scene. At all.
Mm-mm.
Because, it's just, I've been in situations where two friends, like, it's like a group of friends, and two of them are not on good terms at the moment. It is uncomfortable.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And Charlie starts to, like, just try to talk playfully to Tao.
Mm-hmm.
And Isaac says, he said he doesn't want to talk to you. And I am a little disappointed in Isaac for, like, getting involved in that, because it seems a little out of character for him to participate in this feud.
See, you know what I see it as? I think it's more for Charlie than anything. I think that it's just like, hey.
Like putting him out of his misery.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, Tao is, like, stock still. And Charlie is just, like, looking at him, like, looking for anything. So I think that for Isaac in this moment, it's just kind of like, yeah, let me put him out of his misery a little bit. Let him just kind of, like, get to a place where he knows where everyone's at, because I think that Isaac knows that would be better for Charlie to kind of know what the lay of the land is, rather than being like a sad puppy waiting for Tao to say literally anything or even look at him, because Tao won't even look at him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally fair.
So then the teacher for this class comes in, whose name I didn't write down. And he says that he's been told to remind everyone about Truum Higgs Sports Day, which is coming up on Friday, and that everyone needs to sign up for an event by Thursday. There is not enough of a reaction from the students in this class, one way or the other. Like, you hear Sports Day, I am expecting there to be a combination of celebration and lamentation. Just like, yeah, like the kids who are excited about it to be cheering, the kids who don't want to be like moaning and groaning. No one reacts.
I feel like this, I don't know like where this is at in the day. I think probably early on because they go to lunch later, but maybe like right after form, and like everybody's still super hyper and all of them are like chatting and no one's really paying attention. So I don't think that anybody really processed what the teacher is saying at this point. They're all just like fucking off, basically.
Totally fair.
So he says, you know, maybe we could all do the javelin together like last year. And this is when Tao finally speaks. And he's like, you're on the rugby team. Which, like, of course he couldn't keep his mouth shut about the rugby team.
If anything was going to get him to say something.
Yeah. And that just, like, baffles Charlie. He's like, so? Like, what does that have to do with anything? And Isaac, to the rescue, tells him that the rugby team always does the red versus blue rugby match. And so they can't do the same stuff, which is like weird. If the rugby match isn't until the end, why can't the rugby players do other activities as well?
Yeah, it's weird. A lot of the organization of Sports Day I have questions about. My notes about it are like when we're actually at Sports Day, but some of the rules, and maybe it's just like, I don't know if this is like a UK thing, because like I've done like, because my schools, we always had field day. Which kind of had like a similar concept, a little bit less intense, a little bit less involved. We didn't have javelin or like shot put or high jump or any of that shit at my school's field days. So I don't know if this is like a UK thing. I don't know if this is kind of like an over dramatized version of a UK thing.
We had a kickball match usually. And then, like, sack races.
Tug of war.
You know, like, yeah, tug of war. Yeah, that was
like a 3-legged race.
Yeah.
And, like, we do, like, foot races. So there'd be, like, 100-meter dash. As we got older, there was, like, a 400-meter, like, stuff like that. But never organized sports.
Yeah, weird.
There wasn't, like, a soccer game. Yeah, like the closest it would be like kickball or dodgeball or...
Yeah. Yep. And also the kids, like, nobody was that excited.
Oh,
Like, these
no.
kids are fucking stoked about this.
Except for when they find out about it. Except for when they find out that they need to sign up for their event by Thursday. I will say, though, like, it is a reminder. Like, the teacher says that he's been told to remind everyone. So maybe there is a little bit of leeway on the reaction because it's not the announcement that it's happening.
Right.
But still, yeah.
But hearing that being on the rugby team will keep him back from participating in anything with his friends, it's really like it hits him in that moment. Like, he could kill two birds with one stone. He can have less time with Nick and more time with Tao if he quits the rugby team.
Yeah. And so then it cuts to him walking down the hall, just like on a mission.
Ugh, this scene.
It hurts.
It hurts so bad. And Nick is like so happy to see Charlie. And Charlie just looks like he's going to throw up.
Yes. And then I feel like I'm going to throw up.
And there's a continuity error that I have to point out with the boys that were like walking in front of Nick.
Oh, is there?
You know, he's like giggling with them or whatever, and then he sees Charlie and he stops. And so then it like cuts back to like, it's supposed to be the same shot. We go from Nick's perspective to Charlie's perspective, and the boys are just gone. They just disappeared.
I didn't catch that one. I have one later that I'm very excited about.
Nice.
But so Charlie runs into Nick, and Nick asks if he wants to get lunch. Charlie says he can't and like runs off. And
Joe's line delivery of sorry, like it really gets me every time his voice like wavers.
Yeah.
He's like, sorry. And then he runs away. And I'm like, oh God. Oh my God.
And the way that Nick just stares down the hall after him, just like, what the fuck just happened?
Heartbroken.
Yeah.
He's so worried. And this like, usually when I get sad, I get like really nauseous. So like at the beginning of this with like Charlie and Tori, I'm like nauseous and sad. But something about Nick and Charlie like almost breaking up full on hurts. Like I get a pain in my chest that goes all the way out to my fingertips.
Oh,
like,
no.
And it's so weird. I was like paying attention to like doing like body checks during my emotions.
Oh my God.
And like the pain always hurts worse in the fingers that aren't even there. I'm like, it hurts and I can't even touch them. It's so weird.
It's interesting that it's like just like with like emotion. Phantom pain is a fascinating thing to me.
Like I never really had the like pains, but I could tell like right here was like itching and I couldn't, like there's no finger for me to scratch it. So I get itches a lot, but this is like a different kind of feeling for it to go. And for every single time it goes out to my fingertips, all of them. And this is the first fingertip pain of the episode, but there are several.
All right.
This episode hurts.
Ashley, Phantom Fingertip Pain Watch, 2K23. We've got Isaac Book Watch. We've got Fingertip Pain Watch. We've got Cry Watch. We've seen this mural before, and I keep forgetting to note it down. I love the mural in this hallway with like the waves in like the Alice art style, and it's got the leaves.
Yep.
I love it. It makes me happy. I want it on my wall. Alice, please come and
Alice,
paint that on my bedroom wall. Thank you. Charlie goes into Miss Singh's office and tells her he thinks he's going to quit the rugby team. And despite the fact that he says he thinks he's going to quit, he's very much everything about his tone and like just like everything in the conversation is like, you're determined to quit. You just are speaking in Charlie.
Yeah, like he's not there to ask permission.
No.
Also, I love the arrangements of like the basketballs lined up on the wall.
Yeah,
I've never seen that before, and so I thought that was like super cute and an interesting way to like save space.
Yeah. It's very aesthetic, but it's also like the most organized gym teacher office I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I want to know what the rest of that sign says. next to missing. It just says, you can't beat someone who, and then it's covered up. And so you can't see like what the rest of it says.
Okay, huh.
I'm very intrigued to know the rest of that sentence.
Me too. Maybe that'll be the question. We'll just like prompt people to complete this sentence.
Yeah. Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
But Miss Singh is like distraught that he is quitting.
Yeah. She asks if the boys have been giving him a hard time, if she needs to talk to anybody. We all know that she knows the answer to that question already. Like, she knows what's been going on. But Charlie insists that it's just him and leaves. And Miss Singh looks really upset. And, like, I was thinking about it. And I think that there's, like, part that she's worried about Charlie. Part that she's disappointed because she's seen growth from him. And then part that she's wondering if there's anything she could have done differently to keep him from quitting. And it's like, I feel bad because it is entirely nothing to do with her. I mean, like, there are things that she could have done in terms of, like, Harry and things like that.
I love the next scene.
I do too. It's great.
I love any Nick and Tao one-on-ones, though. Good dynamic.
I really love, there's like this overhead shot of the picnic tables, and it's a blue picnic table, a yellow picnic table, and then a blue picnic table. And it's great. And I also have another note on this set here. It says, I can't believe I haven't talked about the mural on the wall by these picnic tables yet.
Yeah, the kicking.
Yeah, I feel like as I was taking my notes for this episode, there were a lot of things that I was like, this is your last chance to talk about this. They're probably not going to be at the school in season 2. It's a really well-decorated school.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful set. But so Nick walks up and he can see Tao sitting alone, and there's like a quick moment where he hesitates of like, Charlie's not there. But then he like pushes through and he's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and commit to this, and I'm going to go sit down. And of course, Tao is immediately rude.
Of course. It's Tao. It's Tao when faced with Nick and no supervision.
Yeah. True.
I didn't write down what exactly it is that he says.
He says, where's Charlie?
Oh, yeah.
And Nick says, I thought he would be here. And he said, I thought he was eating lunch with you. And then that's when Nick's like, so Charlie's mad with you then? And Tao's like, no, I'm pissed off with him. And Nick's just like, okay, and starts to eat his sandwich. Yeah. He's like, this is going nowhere. I'm just going to start on lunch.
But I do love the fact that he stays. Because he very easily could have been like, all right, I'm going to get out of here. This is not a pleasant experience. But he does. And it's kind of a power move even to just like sit down and start eating your lunch. Just kind of like, well, I'm not going anywhere. So, and it works because Tao kind of starts unloading everything, and he says that he was worried about Charlie joining rugby because he knew that Charlie would get picked on by some of the idiots in next year, and then he did. And then Tao says, I'm done trying to protect him when he's forgotten I exist. Like, I deserve to be appreciated, and I have angry thoughts.
I knew it.
So before I go into my angry thoughts, do you want to share any thoughts on this moment?
I mean, again, devil's advocate, like from his perspective, I could see how he feels this way, but he's made a lot of wrong decisions. He has jumped to a lot of conclusions, and he also is not doing a good job of communicating. Even though he's talking to Charlie and talking at him all season, he's not doing a good job of communicating with Charlie and hearing him out and like soaking in what he's saying. So my initial reaction to him saying, I deserve to be appreciated is like, you are appreciated, but he hasn't asked you to do half this shit. So of course he doesn't appreciate it because he's asked you to stop and you just keep doing it.
My initial reaction was to angrily pause the television and in all caps, write, Charlie didn't ask you to protect him.
Yeah.
And because my thing is, okay, I'm going to read my full note without shouting. Although, please imagine that I am shouting this because it's in all caps. I said, Charlie didn't ask you to protect him. You are projecting all of your shit onto him. And to be honest, your attempts at helping made everything worse. If anyone should be mad at anyone else, Charlie should be mad at you, not the other way around. Deep cleansing breaths, everybody. Deep cleansing breaths.
Well, Nick immediately starts to reassure Tao, which like is of course, because he's Nick fucking Nelson. So, he's like, I think, he loves you a lot, and that's why he's so nervous, about telling you, which like, yes and no. I think he's mostly afraid of his reaction because of how Tao has been acting this entire time. But I also understand Nick not being like, well, if you weren't such an asshole all the time, maybe he would have told you.
Yeah, because Nick is still trying to make a good impression.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Nick tells him that it's because he loves him a lot. And Tao goes on this rant saying that like he'll believe that when he sees it, which like is frustrating.
Yeah, I have complicated feelings about it. It's one of those things where I have a bit more empathy for Tao when he says that. Not because he says that, but just like yes, Charlie's been distant, and I can get how he might feel like Charlie doesn't care about him anymore, and that the timing does coincide with like Charlie hanging out with Nick more. Like I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also just like I'm like, I just want a little teeny tiny bit of self-awareness from Tao to like acknowledge that he's been also like actively pushing Charlie away.
Yes, and I don't think he really gets that until later in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's still not there yet at the end of this scene.
Oh, definitely not. I just wanted to jump back a little bit because I did have one note about Tao says that maybe he would have done things differently if Charlie had told him that Charlie and Nick were going out. And I'm like, okay, but you were being so shitty specifically about Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And like, hindsight is 2020 and all of that. So for me, like there's just so much like, but really, but would you have? I
think more like where that line comes from is that like Tao was convinced that Nick was straight and that Charlie was going to get hurt. And had he known that they were actually dating and that there was a chance of this like working out, maybe he wouldn't have pushed Charlie so hard to like stop hanging out with Nick, which would have then in turn created less of a break between the two of them.
That makes sense.
But also like you were not presenting yourself as a safe space to talk about this.
Yeah.
So of course he didn't tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That line kind of rubbed me wrong when I was watching. I was like, but would you have? But no, I definitely see it more from that angle of like knowing that it wasn't all like a big setup makes more sense.
Right.
But then jumping back to after Tao says, I'll believe it when I actually see it. Tao like has a moment's pause and is like, wait, why is Charlie mad at you?
Yeah. How come you're here?
This part breaks my heart.
It does. It hurts. He says that he thinks Charlie's struggling with lying about their relationship. Like he knows that they're not ready, that Nick is not ready to come out, but also it's like taking a toll on him, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
But, Tao then in response hits the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Because he knows Charlie very well.
Yes, I will say from this point on in the scene, Tao does redeem himself a little bit in my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. He softens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think, his anger from the end is like finally fizzling out at the beginning of this. And he's hitting more of like the sadness of it.
Yeah.
And so it's easier for him to see that Nick is also struggling with this and understand that like if he could just help him understand Charlie a little better, maybe he can help them get through this part, which is like just a really good friend moment.
Yeah. And I really like the advice that he gives to Nick, where he's like, Charlie thinks him just existing is annoying to people. And then in parentheses, I wrote, which, same.
Yeah, right? I relate.
And then he also says that Charlie isn't going to force Nick to come out, which is a good thing. And I think everyone is all on the same page with that. And then this, I think, is the most important thing for Nick to hear, which is that Charlie probably wants to be something more than the secret guy you sometimes kiss on the down low. And then I wrote, does Tao know about Ben? Why am I only just thinking about this now? Because I'm like, wait a minute, that's exactly what happened. And I think from all of the information that we have, Tao doesn't know.
Nope. Nick is the only one that knows about Ben.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for the line that he says, like, he doesn't want, or he wants to be more than just secret guy you kiss on the down low. And if you can't give that to him, then that's fine, but it's always going to make him feel a little bit crap about himself. And like, that's a very good way to put it. Like, I get that you're not ready, but it still is going to affect him and make him feel shitty. Like, I think that kind of puts it into perspective for Nick too.
And Nick just goes like, oh. It just like kills me because he's like, oh, it hits him, and he like is kind of like stunned into silence a little bit by it. And I think too that he's a little bit taken aback that Tao is trying to give him Charlie advice. And then one of my favorite Tao lines. So Tao tells Nick to talk. This is a tongue twister if ever there is one. Tao tells Nick to talk to Charlie. And Nick says that Tao should as well. And Tao says, no, I'm going to stay pissed off at him for a little longer. And I love it. Yeah. I love it. It's such...
And he like straightens his jacket when he says, like, no, I'm going to stay pissed off at them a bit longer. It's perfect.
I forget which episode it was. Oh, it was Friend, where I was like, I said that I looked up Tao's sun sign, and he's a Virgo Libra cusp, and that just feels very accurate. It's a very good line.
Yeah, super fitting.
And in response to that, Nick suggests that Tao try rugby because it's good for I'm laughing just imagining Tao's face.
I know. Tao's face. William Gao kills this facial expression.
It's just like, are you fucking kidding me? In a single, like, it's great.
His face, it stays completely straight, but his eyebrows go up. Like, seriously?
It's great. It's so good. It's great. And that is the moment that Tao Su was redeemed. And then there is a brief shot that I just so happened to pause it on that is very symbolic. So before the scene cuts, there's a shot, and it's Nick on one side of the table, Tao on the other side of the table, and there's just like this DMZ of space in between, like Nick and Nick's lunch on one side, and then there's like a plank of wood part of the picnic table that has nothing on it, and then Tao's stuff, and then Tao. And I feel like it's like really representative of like this, like is visually representing this like fragile truce that has been established through this conversation. And it's like, all right, they're not going to be friends, and they might not even really see eye to eye, because like literally in the shot, they don't, like, they're not looking at each other, but they're at least trying for Charlie's sake. And it's just like this quick little shot. And I just so happened to pause it, and I was like, symbolism.
I love that.
Yeah.
The next scene is another fingertip hurting moment.
Oh, I can. Yeah.
In the middle of my notes for this scene, in all caps, it just says, "It hurts me."
Literally.
Yeah, I literally feel pain right now.
Oh my God.
Charlie hasn't responded since 2 nights ago when he asked to get lunch with Nick with the intention of breaking up with him.
And Charlie, and Nick texts Charlie, "What's going on? Please talk to me."
With a heart.
With a heart, yes. And we get to see Nick's frequently used emoji. So just to lighten the mood for a moment.
I didn't even pay attention.
Yeah, I didn't get all of them, but I got as many as I could. So we see the red heart, the upside down smiley face, which also feels like bi energy.
Yeah.
A softball.
Interesting.
Yeah. The like frowny side eye face. And then I had to look up like what the actual official description of this was because I have no fucking idea. Apple calls it the weary face, but I literally do not know. I wish that I had actually typed the emoji in because
That's what I'm gonna do right now.
Are we all Googling weary face emoji?
I feel like that one and the like side eye frowny face are both like flirting with Charlie emojis.
I asked Eddie, I was like, what even before I looked it up, I was like, what even would you call this? And he said that it looked like an orgasm face. And not like a weary face. And I'm like, I can see that being an interpretation.
I use it for whining. So like anytime I'm wanting to come across whiny, that's what I use.
That's how I use it too, is like a whiny face.
Yeah. Weary is an interesting descriptor though.
I could not come up with the word whiny when I was making these notes, apparently. And then the like shocked, surprised, embarrassed face with the wide eyes and the red cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
A baseball. The okay hand sign, like the okay. The two pink hearts, the thumbs up,
yeah,
and
the peace sign.
The peace sign. I was very happy.
Super bisexual emojis.
Mm-hmm.
So then we see Charlie in his white and orange striped shirt, and I've decided that white and orange stripes are his like sad overalls from Buffy, because in the like kiss/secret episode when he is like pouting after the kiss, he has on a different orange and white striped shirt, and now he's depressed again in another orange and white stripe. So these are his sad stripes.
I had not caught that, but that's great.
Yeah, because I thought it was the same shirt at first. I was like, is this the same shirt? And then I stopped the episode, went back and looked, and they're slightly different. Like the white stripes are bigger, I think, in Kiss/Secret, and the orange stripes are bigger in this one. So he like flopped it. But it also matches like his bedding.
Yeah.
Except in that one episode when he has green stripes instead of orange.
Well, you can't have the shirt and the stripes blend.
Right. It all has to be
contrasting,
aesthetically pleasing.
Yes. And it is very aesthetically pleasing. So Charlie starts typing "I'm sorry," and then it cuts back to Nick watching Charlie type. Haven't we all?
It hurts me. Also, we didn't start this window is playing the whole time too, which is like
our window. Yeah, it kills
knife to the heart.
And Charlie deletes the message. And then I cry because Nick sees like the Charlie is typing goes away, but there's no message, and he keeps trying to scroll up to see
which he did in Crush.
Oh, I missed that.
When he was asking about Ben and Charlie was trying to figure out how to respond, and it takes him forever, and Nick is like trying to refresh it. And so that was another like parallel throwback. But this one is much more heartbreaking.
It's much sad. It's much sad. It's much sad, everybody.
It's much sad.
It's much sadder, I think, is what I was trying to say. My brain is not working very well.
So Charlie puts his phone down and just kind of rolls over and becomes one with his duvet.
Which speaks to me.
And Nick is just he's looking so sad and lost and scared.
And then we have this edit with the comic book panel, like editing, that has Nick in his very blue room on the top, and Charlie in his very yellow room at the bottom. And then I am in my room feeling very sad.
Yes. Just sobbing on the couch for me.
Yeah.
And Nick's like looking around the room, like clearly feeling lost and not sure how to make this better.
It's just so sad. I'm so sad.
It really is. We're almost through the sadness, though.
We are almost through
We're almost through it.
Then it just like very tonally, like visually, it just goes from this like sad darkness to sports day. Very bright colors and sunshine. And it's like, hey, were you sad? We're going to fix it.
Yeah. And Elle is looking very scared.
I don't blame her.
Mm-mm. But she has two really good friends with her.
Yes. One of whom very heroically suggests that they leave and pretend that they all have sprained ankles.
I love Tara being like, what, did we have some sort of group ankle-related accident? Like,
listen, you say you were practicing for the three-legged race.
Yep. There you go.
You're practicing for the three-legged race.
I love that Darcy just like thinks on her feet though. She's like, well, I can have like a sprained wrist or like a back injury. Like, we'll figure out the details.
Yeah. We'll just get out of here. And Elle, she just is like, nope, I want to do this. And you can tell that it's a big deal for her. Like she needs to like go, and like it almost feels like she needs to prove like to herself, like she's okay. Like, and to show herself how far she's come.
Yes. Yep. And I love the like look that Tara and Darcy share behind her as she's saying this. Like, they're really proud of her too.
And then they all like join hands and they like skip in chanting sports day,
sports day, sports day, which is just not realistic.
No, not at all. No, it's more like, oh, fuck, why do we have to do this?
Yeah.
Sports day is very colorful, is my next note.
Also, I like that they seem to have gotten like zip-up hoodies that match their uniforms.
Yeah.
It's like all the Higgs students have the same like yellowy, orangey, whatever color that is. Yeah. It's like a blend of the two.
It's like a mustardy color.
Yeah. Zip-up hoodies. I thought that was nice. I like that.
They were nice, yeah.
Thank you, school.
Yeah. This is like the most intense like sport day, field day I've ever seen. It's very decorated, and I want to know who did that.
Who decorated it?
Because it definitely wasn't Miss Singh.
Right. Maybe it was Mr. Ajayi.
Just forcing all of the art students to go out and decorate the like sports fields. That's one way to get the art kids excited about field day.
Right.
It kind of cuts inside the gym where they're, I guess, like doing like registration or whatever. And Charlie gets a red bib and he sees Nick and walks away before Nick can talk to him.
He runs. he runs away.
He's gone. He's like, goodbye. Not doing this.
Yeah, as I've said before, Charlie is definitely fight or flight. And he turns around and tucks his tail and runs in the other direction. And poor Nick, his face just like falls and like, I don't know. It hurts a lot to see him. Like, all he wants to do is to talk to Charlie. And Charlie literally runs from him every time he sees him.
And it hurts so bad. And then we go back outside, and Elle is sitting on like a picnic table. Sans Tara and Darcy. But that Tao is like searching the crowd for her. He is like bobbing and weaving, trying to find Elle. And when he sees her, his whole face lights up.
Yeah. But he's not feeling any type of way. They're just friends.
No, he has it's totally platonic feelings. Totally platonic.
I love how like supportive he is though. She's like, ugh. He says it's literally like old times, and she's like, don't say that. I thought I'd never have to come back to this hellhole. And he immediately deflates and is like, do you want to go hide? We can go hide. It's like all of her friends are like, just don't do it. Let's just leave.
Yeah. And I mean, like, listen, for Tao is all of us in this moment because he hasn't signed up for an event.
Yeah.
And he's worried that Miss Singh is going to find out and make him, quote, do the high jump or something. which
I would love to see.
Yes. I mean, no, he would be fine with that. He's tall.
Yeah, but I feel like he's just so awkward and he would be so resistant to it. You know, he wouldn't commit. He would be fighting it the whole way.
That's true. I'm trying to think what event Tao could do.
Just silence after you said that.
Please leave that silence in the edit.
I literally can't think of anything. I don't know.
Nothing. I think like one of the throwing. I think something that involves throwing things would be his best bet. Because even though he has noodle arms, like he's got a lot of rage that he could put into it.
Yeah.
So like probably javelin.
Which sounds like what they did last year.
Yeah, probably should have just signed up for the javelin with Isaac.
Yeah. I feel like maybe also like he'd probably be good at like a sack race, like hopping.
Yeah, but it seems like they don't have like the fun stuff. It seems like it's all very track and field kind of stuff plus rugby.
Yeah. It's all very serious competitive things.
It's weird.
I love this announcer. He's so feisty.
It's Stephen Fry. We did talk about this. It's Stephen Fry.
Yeah,
my note literally says Headmaster Stephen Fry returns. His name is Headmaster Barnes, but he's Headmaster Stephen Fry. Yes, no, but I love him. He does a great job with this. He welcomes everyone to Sports Day and says that if anyone hasn't signed up for an event, Miss Singh will hunt you down and murder you.
Which is like a little too far.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
He has to backtrack on that one.
Yeah. He does. He then clarifies that she won't murder them, but she might ban them from watching the Reds versus Blues rugby match later today. An even worse fate, if you ask me. And everyone starts cheering. And I have a question. You guys are all like super hyped for this Sports Day rugby match, but none of you could be bothered to go to the actual rugby match in secret? Because there's no one there.
No parents, no one. It's weird.
Yeah. And I also like, just again, this is where I start questioning like this whole event. I'm like,
yeah. The only thing I can think of, which doesn't track with their behavior thus far, but like maybe by the time, if they make it to the rugby match, then they're done with actually having to participate and they can just watch.
Yeah.
But like, they seem pretty stoked to participate. So
yeah, it's really weird. Okay, so here's the deal. I could get if everyone's excited because they're getting out of class for the day. Because I would much rather be like sitting around in the sun. And it also, because like not for nothing, it seems like everyone just does one event. So it's like you do your event and then you're done.
Which is like also not how it was for us. You had to do like everything.
It's weird. But then Stephen Fry comes back to say, good luck one and all, and go do sports.
Yeah.
Speaks to me deeply. It reminds me of my nerd friends and I in college who, whenever someone was talking about sports or if we were like at like a sports event for whatever reason, I had one friend who would go, hooray, sports, do the thing, win the points. And it has very similar energy to that.
Yeah. There is one part that we skipped over, just a little tiny moment when Isaac comes up and hugs Elle and I think Elle is the one that says like, where's Charlie? And Isaac says, I haven't seen him. And Tao says he's probably with the rugby team. They have this whole thing. But the whole time, Elle is looking a little bit confused, which makes me wonder how much she actually knows about like what really went down between Harry and Tao and Charlie and Nick. Because she looks a little lost at the dynamic.
Yeah. And this is also where I had posted about this when I was rewatching the episode. I paused it and Isaac just has the most excellent frown after Elle asks where Charlie is. I'll have to remember to like repost it. It's an excellent frown. It's like, I can't eat. I can't frown. Like my face does not. I scowl more than I frown. Like I can't. Yeah. The corners of my mouth don't go that way.
I have to concentrate. Also, now that we've seen all of the characters, I want to talk a little bit about how perfect everyone's face paint is for each individual character. Because like Tara and Darcy have this like yin and yang flow type thing going, and they have opposites. So like Tara's is going one way and Darcy's is going the other.
And they're on opposite teams as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Elle has stars on one side and a heart on the other, which like just really makes me think of like the arcade scene. And then Isaac has little flowers, which remind me of his various Daisy prints we've seen him in. And then Tao just has like a T for Truum, or also maybe Tao. I feel like he was like avoiding the group, and so he probably had to do it himself. And so he was like, "I'll just do a T." Yeah. And then Nick has nothing, which tracks because
yes,
if he's not hanging out with Charlie and his friends, no, like, you know, Harry's not going to do his face paint. Like, yeah, who's going to help him do his face paint?
I wonder what his face paint would have been if he was hanging out with Charlie and friends.
And Charlie just has like the like sunshine rays. Yes. So I wonder if he wouldn't have like something to match or flow well with Charlie's.
Oh yeah, I was thinking like the same thing. Like he would have like the same sunshiny eye rays, like some stars, because he's the rugby star.
Yeah.
What would your face paint be?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to think of like past festival looks that I've done, because I have used a lot of like glitter and stuff. And one of my favorites is to do like over my left eye and then like kind of have it go under my, kind of similar to Darcy and Tara's like flow of theirs, but I wouldn't do dots. I would probably do like lines, like Charlie. Like if you melted Charlie's look with Tara and Darcy's look, that's probably something like I would end up with.
I was thinking something similar, like where I'd kind of like follow the same like pattern as Tara and Darcy, but with stars instead of dots.
Nice,
like little like asterisk stars.
Yeah, cute.
Yeah.
We should have done our face paint for today.
We fucked up. And then we go to the art room, and I also love this scene.
Yeah, this is.
So Mr. Ajay sees Charlie and tells him there aren't any sports day events in the art block. And the tone in his voice is, go the fuck away. I was told I did not have to deal with children today.
Yeah, for sure.
I might be projecting a little bit. He's like, I didn't have to teach today. I didn't have to do anything. Go away.
Yeah, he's like clearly cleaning and organizing too. Yeah. So like this is interrupting his flow.
Yeah, like he's on like a break. He doesn't have to supervise children at this moment. He doesn't want to. Listen, Mr. Ajay, we've all been there. And that he also says that Charlie better not ask to stay in the art room all afternoon. But then he looks up because he's like very busy. He looks up and like really takes Charlie in and is like more concerned and kind of is like, you've been coming here for lunch a lot, and asks if it's a repeat of last year when he was being bullied. And Charlie like says no. And we get an excellent teacher speech from Mr. Ajay. Yes. He says, all right, I'm not going to make you go because I'm a nice teacher. And yeah, he's very like, I'm a nice teacher, which like spoke to me deeply. And when I was in school, I thought that hiding from it all was safer, easier. But sometimes the loneliness was just as bad. Don't let anyone make you disappear, Charlie.
And I break down into tears.
Don't we all? This is exactly what I needed someone to say to me when I was 14, 15 years old.
Yes.
Yes. This is why adults love this show just as much as teenagers do, because it's like so healing for the inner child. to just like finally have someone tell you the thing that you needed to be told 10 years ago.
I know. And like I relate a lot to Charlie's specific type of anxiety too.
Yes.
And so like the first time I heard this line, it broke me a little bit, but like in a good way. Like, and I have legitimately thought about this line nonstop since my first viewing. And like, spoiler alert, it's going to be my favorite quote for this episode because it is my favorite quote of the entire series.
It's a great one.
I love this quote.
It's so good.
And it's such important advice.
It is. I actually kind of want to like get a poster of it. Just like the don't let anyone make you disappear and just put it in my classroom. And then before we go back outside, I think I've called this the sadness corner on the podcast before. But he looks over at the sadness corner and then he looks back to the door and like kind of like implies that he is going back outside, that he's not gonna hide in the art room.
Yep, he has to choose between braving it out or disappearing, and he's gonna choose to brave it out.
Yeah.
Because once again, I scream, Charlie Spring is so brave!
Yes, he is. And also, like, we know the relationship between Mr. Ajay and Charlie at this point. Like, he doesn't want to disappoint Mr. A.
And also, anything that he is saying to him is going to be very meaningful because he's very much like a beacon of learning for Charlie.
Yeah, he is. I am a beacon of learning, so fire away.
You know, his opinion really matters.
Yeah, I have had a few students who I've had the kind of relationship like this with. I actually have one right now, and it's a different context, but I thought about her a lot when I rewatched this scene, and I was like,
yeah,
okay.
No.
Yeah.
I'm glad she has you.
Yeah, she's going through it right now. Anyway, we go back outside. And Miss Singh is pissed.
She's so mad.
She screams it across the field.
Elle's face too is like, oh shit.
You fucked up.
So she tells him that he has to do, was it the 200 meter?
Yeah.
The 200 meters. And he like, he's like, whoa, no, I can't. I can't do that. And he says he can't run. And she says, can't you? Because like, you got two legs and you seem to be able to use them, my guy. What do you mean you can't run?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, not fast. And that's when Elle comes to his defense and was like, he really can't.
Yeah.
But also I love her being like, no protests.
Oh my God. And then as soon as she's gone, Charlie comes up and is like, swap bibs with me. And I have a question. Because we know he quit the rugby team, so he's not doing the rugby match. What was he supposed to do? And is it not going to be conspicuous when he does the 200 meter run and doesn't show up for his other previously assigned event, which Tao has? It's not like they swapped events. It's just Charlie's running this for him. And I'm really confused.
Also, like, Miss Singh just told him that he had to be over there. And then, I mean, she goes over there, so is she not like, where the fuck is Tao? I just told him he had to do this.
Yeah, and why the fuck is Charlie over here now? Because presumably she also has, like, the breakdown of who's on which team and knows that Charlie is on Team Red.
On that little clipboard.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I also have to bring up the blooper that they shared of them trying to switch bibs, and Joe gets like totally and completely caught in his bib with like one arm up and like can't get out.
It's entirely the kind of scene that is just lends itself very well to a blooper.
Mm-hmm.
Like something like that is someone's gonna fuck something up.
Yeah. So after he says swap bibs, Charlie apologizes and he says, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry for everything. And that's when Tao, like, you can see it in his face that he's like, okay, I'm done with this. Like, we need to get back on track with our friendship because he's hurting a lot and I'm hurting a lot, and it would help us both out if we just would be nice to each other and be friends again, because this is just making it worse for both of us. And you can like see his face fall, and you can see Elle also like processing this entire interaction and knowing that like you can see the hopefulness like in her face, like, okay, I think we're finally at the end of this tiff that they're having.
Yeah, I like totally missed that part in my notes. I just skipped it.
You were too busy thinking about how they were getting away with this switch.
Yeah, no, that's probably what it was. I was just caught up in like, just like,
yeah.
Of course, my brain is just like, okay, but how is this event, this fictional event that didn't actually happen, how is it actually organized and run? Because, in case anyone is wondering, my Mercury is in Virgo. So then Charlie goes to the starting line, and Ben is there, because of course Ben is there. And Ben asks if Charlie is obsessed with him or something.
Fuck you, Ben Hope.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. And I would like to ask Ben, are you obsessed with Charlie or something? Because that seems to be more the case. And it's also because like so many times Ben has done this thing where he's just like flipped everything he's feeling and put it back on Charlie. So I'm like,
yeah. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he is obsessed with it.
Yeah, I mean, everything in Bully just proves it.
It's just like the fucking tone of voice he uses is like, it just makes me want to punch him in his little
so
fucking
slimy.
face.
It's like,
yeah, slimy. Yes. Charlie just ignores him as he should. I
love this race.
My note says, Charlie ignores him. Let's settle this on the track, motherfucker.
And they do. They do. I love it because they run the race and Charlie wins, but Ben is a close second. However, after the race, Ben is like laid out on the ground, panting. And Charlie has barely broken a sweat.
Yep.
And it's excellent. And before we get to the conversation that Charlie and Ben have, which is so, so important, I do have Isaac book watch.
Nice.
Because Isaac has a new book while they're watching the race. Elle, Tao, and Isaac are all together watching and cheering Charlie on. And Isaac has the book There Is No Planet B, A Handbook for the Make or Break Years by Mike Berners-Lee, which is a nonfiction book all about things that people can do to be more sustainable and try and not exacerbate climate change. Yes. Take better care of the planet. I really hope that it acknowledges that a lot of the issues are caused by corporations and not by individuals. But we stand a sustainable queen.
Yes.
Isaac Henderson.
Also, I love Elle's like squeal that she does when he starts running. She's like, "Oh, I forgot how fast he is!" Like, and Tao, he says, "Come on!" And he like does like a like elbow hook. He's so excited too. Like, yeah.
I think he's just glad he doesn't have to do it. Like,
yeah, for sure. And I think he's also excited because he knows Charlie's gonna win. But like, if you watch their faces when they're running, like Ben is low-key freaking out. He's like, it's like, it's going to be a stab to his ego if he does not win this race. And then Charlie is just like, he looks angry for a second. And then the second that he cuts a little bit ahead of Ben, he gets this like smirk, like, yeah, I did it and I'm going to beat you. And every time I'm like, that's right, Charlie.
It's great. It's great. And there's just, for the viewer, there's also just like the satisfaction of like the fact that like Ben had to fucking work his ass off and he still couldn't win. And Charlie, you never would have guessed that
he wasn't even prepared.
Yeah.
He didn't know he was going to have to do this today.
He didn't warm up.
Stretches
he didn't
or
stretch.
Anything. Yep. And then we finally get Charlie telling Ben off. And I'm so fucking proud of him for it.
He says, "You don't get to have an opinion about anything I do."
And then Ben, being the asshole that he is, is like, do you want me to go around telling everybody about you and Nick? And Charlie's like, do you want me to go around telling everybody about you and me? And I'm like, hell yeah, Charlie.
Yeah, I'm so proud of him. And then Ben, like, has this face where he goes from, like, angry to terrified. Like, he's, like, mad about it, but then he's like, wait, but I actually genuinely don't want anyone to know.
Yep. And Charlie's like, except I wouldn't do that because I'm a decent person.
He says, I understand that you're figuring out your sexuality, but you don't get to make me feel like crap anymore just because you hate yourself. Which is true.
Mm-hmm. And Ben is crying at this point. He lets out just like one little tear, which like I've watched this scene a bunch and I've thought about it a lot. And I'm like, I can't decide if he's crying because Charlie is spitting truth at him or if this is like a residual tear from the moment of fear that he felt.
Probably a combination of the two.
Yeah.
And also maybe just a little bit that he's a sore loser and a whiny little bitch and didn't like that he lost in front of all of his friends to some stupid year 10. Like, and you know Harry's going to give him shit for losing.
Oh, yeah, especially to the gay boy. So, but Charlie is not scared anymore and Ben is never going to make Charlie disappear again.
Never. And then Tao and Charlie apologize to each other. And they have this, like, big hug.
And they're both, like, just saying, sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
It's cute.
And Charlie says he should have been a better friend. Tao says he shouldn't have gotten angry with Charlie. Tao says, I made it so hard for you to tell me. Charlie says, I should have been looking out for you as much as you were looking out for me. And I kind of roll my eyes a little bit, but I let it go. I was like, all right. And then Charlie suggests a movie night, which is the perfect thing because Tao has a really long list of movies he needs to force Charlie to watch.
He's so excited. He's instantly like bouncing on his heels like, yes, movie night.
Which Charlie knew. Charlie knew that saying movie night was just going to solve all of his problems.
Yep.
So then Tao invites Charlie to join him and Elle, who are going to go look around all of Elle's old classrooms.
And Charlie doesn't go. And I think he didn't go on purpose, that meddling little gay.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, no, you go ahead. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Enjoy your classroom alone time with Elle.
Yes. And then we get a sports day montage. Too close to you.
Yep. Yes. And I want to point out that we see that Tao seems to have no trouble running at all through the hallways.
I mean, he doesn't look great. He doesn't look great.
But he's going pretty like he's keeping up with Elle and he's not doing the weird like sideways foot out run that we see in girls. And so and he does skip at the end, but like there's 2 shots of him running normally and I'm like
there. And then we see Tara does the high jump. Which I'm confused because I thought that the way that the high jump worked is that they like put it at a certain height and then if you clear it, you go higher. But Tara seems like she does the one jump and she's done. Like she kind of like has like an I did it and she's done. And I'm like, again, confused about the organization of this event. My
note just says Tara does a sport.
And Isaac did in fact sign up for the javelin again. And Isaac Bookwatch, Charlie is in the crowd holding onto Isaac's book for him.
Yeah. Keeping his page marked.
Yeah. Which I loved.
I also really like this stained glass around the doors in the corridor that we get to see.
Yeah.
We see it again later at the end, but we see it when they're running through the hallways. It's really pretty.
Very pretty.
And Darcy's like the most supportive girlfriend
ever. Although, not for nothing, everyone is like
so
the most this is the most supportive like field day, sports day I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like every sports day that I've been to, like inevitably you've got like at least 5 kids like watching and like snickering at everyone who doesn't do well. And like, not for nothing, Isaac, he throws it. We could see the other 2 javelins. Like, he's, like, way far back compared to the other people, and everyone still cheers for him. And I'm like, no one's laughing? I'm jealous. I'm, like, jealous.
Yeah.
I'm like,
why are these kids so nice? Where's all the bullies? They're all practicing rugby right now. That's
yeah, entirely. And Isaac is very proud. He like throws it. He's like really proud of himself.
Yeah, he does a little jump.
Yeah, Charlie is also really proud of him, but his like smile fades like immediately. He's like and like I just like kind of like I'm like he's thinking about Nick. He's missing Nick. He wants to go be with Nick because that's the one thing that's missing. Everything else has been resolved, but there's still something that feels amiss.
Yeah, I mean, and at this point, he still is like thinking that it's over. Like he needs to let him go, and so just like on top of missing him, being like, but I can't go be with him. And we see Tara and Darcy kiss in the crowd. And I shared this on our Instagram story, but like to the left of the screen, there's a person behind them who is like, just like beaming at them and clapping, like watching them kiss. I'm like, that's all of us. We're like, yeah. Public kisses. And Darcy her mind is blown. Like she loses her breath. She like can't believe that Tara just kissed her. But like also if you pay attention right before the kiss, Tara gets this like mischievous little grin on her face. Like, I'm going to kiss her. And then she does. And then Darcy's like, holy shit, she just kissed me.
I love it.
Very cute scene.
They're so cute. Speaking of cute scenes.
Yes. Elle's painting is so good.
Yes. I have one thing that I wish that we had seen. I would have loved to see Elle and Mr. Ajay have at least one conversation.
Yeah.
That seems like one of the biggest like injustices of the show. Like I have to imagine like she loves art. She was always in the art room. She said she spent like 4 months like coming every
lunch period,
to work on that painting. And like looking at how Mr. Ajay is with Charlie, I have to imagine he's that way with Elle too. So I just have to imagine he would be really happy to know like how she's doing at Higgs and happy to see her. And I wish that we had seen some of that.
That line, her saying that she spent every lunch period in there for 4 months, makes me wonder if that's not how her and Charlie met.
It's possible. That would make a lot of sense. I also love that it's just like the art room is just like this like space for the queer kids to hang out.
Like a queer haven, yeah.
Yeah. You need it.
Which tracks. It's like if they don't have fucking theaters there, if they don't have an auditorium, then it's got to be the art room.
Yeah. And the painting is gorgeous and it's still hanging. This child no longer attends this school and her work is still up on the wall.
But I love like how embarrassed Tao is of his because it's not bad, but she's right. It's like focused on the people, which is just, it really highlights like how important his friends are to him and his life.
I did the most me thing that I could think of doing, and I looked up the definition of landscape paintings. Because Elle says she doesn't think it counts as a landscape if it has people in it. That is her statement. And I was like, but because like I could think of like landscapes that had people in them. So I looked it up, and the only source that I could find that like specified really like what landscape paintings like would contain like specifically was the Encyclopedia Britannica. And according to Encyclopedia Britannica, landscape painting is the depiction of natural scenery in art. Landscape paintings may capture mountains, valleys, bodies of water, fields, forests, and coasts, and may or may not include man-made structures as well as people. I will agree with you that the people seem to be the focal point of Tao's painting, which I would say wouldn't count as a landscape. But to Elle's specific point, having people does not disqualify it as a landscape.
Right. Definitely the focus, though. And like if he had just put some like more tree, like there's one tree, one tree and all of his friends. And so like if he had just like fleshed out the actual nature of the scene, then maybe it would have been a little less jolting for Elle. But
yeah, My note on the painting, though, is that it's not great, but it's also much better than anything I could do.
Same. Hey, they actually look like people, so you get an A from me.
I can tell which one is Charlie, which one is Tao,
Right,
which one is Elle, which one is Isaac. We're good. You're getting partial credit.
But after she says that she doesn't think it counts, he just kind of like rolls his eyes and lays back on the desk. And she comes to lay down with him. And I love the placement of the like cartoon birds on the desk around them, like set designers.
Excellent.
Good job.
And Elle asks if it's awful being at True One without her. Tao says yes.
Everything is awful without you.
And like he says it in like a joking tone. But the way he's looking at her, he means it. And my next note is just in all caps, they look so in love. They do. The scene is such a tease. Is such a tease.
And the score is so good. It's like sweet and innocent, but also tense. Like there's tension there.
They sit up and Elle takes Tao's hand and she says, I was going to tell you something. And they are staring into each other's souls. They're like, yeah. And I swear to God, every time I watch this scene, I think they're about to kiss. I've seen it 100 times. And I still am like,
that's because they are. They're about to kiss. Yes. Before she snaps out of it because she's like, shit, I can't do this.
Tao totally goes for it too.
Yeah.
Like, and then she snaps out of it and says, you've got the wrong team's face paint on. And then I scream.
I just want to point out that we can also see in this scene Tao taking a page out of Ben Hope's book and laying the lip gloss on extra thick with 3 C's. Like, so shiny. He was prepared for that kiss that didn't happen.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, like, they're definitely still flirting, though, because she's like, you've got the wrong team's face paint on. And then she, like, tries to wipe it off with her hoodie sleeve, which looks really uncomfortable.
It looks painful. And also, I'm like, you're in a literal art room. Like, there's a sink over there. Like, just behind you, there's a sink.
Just get some water and a paper towel, please.
Yeah.
Also, I feel bad for Elle's parents. You have to wash that hoodie.
But through that entire exchange, the tension is just getting more and more because once she stops, they're back to staring at each other again.
And they almost kiss again, but Elle panics again.
Yep.
And I'm just like, Elle, do you not see that this boy loves you just as much as you love him? And he is here for it. And I get...
Read the room.
I know. I get from like a storytelling perspective, like stepping outside of the like actual story for a minute to like production and the storytellers. I get that that is a moment of like them in the museum that you want to preserve. I get it. But come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a tease.
Yeah.
And she bolts this time too. When she snaps out of it, she's like, okay, I got to remove myself from this situation because this is just going to keep happening. And the animation of like, and like Tao's face being like, he's frozen for a second. Like he really thought it was going to happen that second time. And then he's like, and at first he looks like a little nervous and like kind of scared, but then he like gets this smile like, oh, maybe it would have happened. Yeah. It's very cute.
I know. My note is that Tao now finally realizes what is going on.
Yeah.
He's finally put it together.
It only took him the entire season to get here.
Only just.
Then it's time for the rugby match.
And Headmaster Stephen Fry is back. And he says, it's time for you to sit back and watch as some teenagers crash into each other and fall over repeatedly. Which again prompts everyone to cheer as Coach Sang and the team like jog out onto the field.
Yeah. And is also like a very accurate description of rugby.
Yeah. And then they make the same rugby joke for like the 3rd time, which, you know, there's the rule of 3s in comedy. So Stephen Fry comes back and says, now, can someone explain the rules of rugby to me again? Please. It seems to make no sense. which, Georgie, you will be proud. I actually remembered some things this time, so
progress.
I could possibly have explained the rules to Headmaster Stephen Fry.
Nice. But as they run out, Nick is searching so hard for Charlie. He's looking everywhere. He even turns around and runs backwards so that he can continue looking. And this is a very cute like set decoration moment because there's like this heart-shaped decor. It's very much like you could tell there's 2 or 3 hearts like all together. And it's a cutout, and we see Nick looking for Charlie, and he runs through, so we can see him like through the hearts, like looking for Charlie. And it's very cute. And Miss Singh asks, like, "You okay, Nick?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm fine." He is not fine. Boy is not okay. He's just like running on autopilot at this point.
Mm-hmm. And Charlie and Isaac are not even over there. They're sitting over on a different field entirely. And Isaac is reading, which mood.
Of course, yeah.
But Charlie kind of sees this, and the two of them make their way over to watch the game. And my favorite Isaac moment of the entire fucking show, they're pushing their way through this crowd, and Isaac is still reading. Boy's eyes are on the book. Like,
don't touch me, don't look at me, don't talk to me, I'm reading.
He's like, I will be here for you, Charlie, but also I'm reading.
Yeah. And Charlie just ditches him. Yeah. Like the second they get into that crowd, he's like, I can't see, I gotta go over here. Like, just goes over so he can stand up and get a better view. Which like Isaac probably doesn't even notice.
Yeah. And then there's a girl with a blue bib on that says Team Blue are doing really well. And then there's a boy in red who says, yeah, but Team Red has Nick Nelson, so they're basically guaranteed to win.
Like, they're too involved in this. This is not realistic.
Yeah, Charlie stands up on a table to get a better look, and Nick scores, and this is where I remembered something. And I was very proud that I remembered something. So he scored a try, which means now he gets to attempt to score a conversion. So that's what's happening. Because I remember that because that's the thing that's like a touchdown and a field goal, which is also the only thing I understand about American football. So
I love that you like you knew what was going on in the game.
So he goes, like, they are setting up for this like conversion. However,
it's like he can feel him.
Mm-hmm. And he sees Charlie. And the heartbeat sound effect on the show echoes the beat of my own heart. And Nick just looks back at Miss Singh, tosses the ball, and walks away. And then he starts jogging away. And everyone is confused.
Yeah, I love when he's like staring at Charlie because there's a couple of back and forths between the two of them in the shot. Yeah. And like all the kids are so confused. There's like one guy that's like throwing his hands up, like, what the hell, you know? And people are looking around. Also, Darcy is standing there by herself. I'm like, where's Tara? She's just standing there by herself watching the rugby match.
And Nick walks over to Charlie and Code Blue. My heart, like literally, my heart completely stops. And Charlie steps down from the table. And Nick takes Charlie's hand. And leads him away.
And Imogen
looks at them.
And everything clicks.
Everything clicks. And she just gets this smile. And I get super excited to see what they do with her in season 2. Because... And then... there's just like a student standing next to Mr. Ajay, and the student's like, sir, aren't you going to tell Nick Nelson that he has to do the match? And Mr. Ajay, absolute icon. Nah, I'm good.
I'm good. Also, this is the kid that is going to play James in season
2. Yay!
So he will be back.
I love that for him.
And then we get this shot of the friend group, and everyone is so pleased. Like, Darcy and Tara start holding hands and smiling at each other, and Tao like leans over and puts his head on top of Elle. Except Isaac gives no fucks. He is still reading. He could give two shits about this exchange.
Isaac probably doesn't even know what's happening right now. Like, Isaac is just, like, focused.
He's like, they're still playing rugby, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. And I do, though, like, while all of this is happening, I love, like, the extras are just, like, really playing up their, like, confused and frustrated faces and, like, throwing their hands up, like, and, like, shrugging, like, what's going on? Like, it's great. Yeah. Awesome background acting, everybody. Awesome
Very
job.
good. Very, very good.
So Nick says, I don't want to break up. I know people have hurt you and you feel like I'd be better off without you, but I need you to know that my life is way better because I met you.
You don't have to say that.
I do, and I'll keep on saying it until you believe me. Look, I don't care about getting into fights or pissing off my mates or anything like that. It's all worth it to be with you. You are the kindest, most thoughtful, and caring, and an amazing person in the whole world.
Nick.
And if you really want to break up, then I would respect your decision, but I want us to be together.
Nick.
You're my favorite person.
Nick.
I need you to believe me.
Nick. I believe you. I believe you. Smooch, 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 smooch.
Cry, cry, cry. And I have a note that says, when Nick says that my life is way better because I met you, I fall into a million pieces just because.
I know. This is full cardiac arrest for me. Like, it's been building, but this is the moment when I flatline.
Yeah.
Obviously. But it's also, this is the other end of the parallel we talked about between Secret, when Charlie is spiraling and Nick is saying, Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. And both ends in a face grab kiss. And the slow motion in the middle of the kiss, chef's kiss.
It's great. It's great. And then when Charlie pulls away, he says, Nick, we're in the corridor. And Nick, I'm so proud of him. He just looks around and he goes, oh, so what?
Yeah. The note that I had about the kiss is that I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote this. It just says, this is a passionate as fuck kiss, yo. They really go for it. And this is also when Joe grabs Kit's face for this kiss. This is the only time I noticed his thumbs, which is just like funny to me. Thanks to Kit, all I can think about during that scene also is just Joe's weird thumbs. Yeah, no, this is just like such a huge step for Nick to be like, and so what? Like, who cares if, like, I literally just ran through a crowd and grabbed your hand and walked through. Like, we might as well have just done this outside, standing up on the picnic table.
Yeah. And then Nick asks if Charlie is free on Sunday.
And he says, yeah, why? And the like little mischievous smile that Nick gets, like, it just like gets me so excited.
I love it.
It's coming.
Mm-hmm. And then we go to the train station and Charlie asks if Nick is going to tell him where they're going yet. Mm-hmm. And the way Nick says no, it's so adorable and stubborn. Like, no.
I love this Adidas sweatshirt that he has too. The like lavender color. It looks so cozy.
Yes. And it looks great on him.
Yeah. And the colors of Charlie's plaid shirt are also very nice. Very Eastery.
Yeah.
And then we see them on the train. And we get to see Alice make her little cameo in the corner. And I love their overalls.
Yes, I made a whole note about the overalls. Because they're Lucy and Yak, and I love Lucy and Yak. I own two pairs of Lucy and Yak overalls. I own a Lucy and Yak jacket, which is like literally the only jacket that I wear. I own my favorite pants are Lucy and Yak. I love Lucy and Yak. They are a smaller, like sustainable British fashion brand. They're most known for their overalls and like boiler suits. But I love them. Their shit is so comfy. It's a little bit on the pricier side, but like so worth it. Like, hard recommend for Lucy and Yak. So yeah, I made my note says cameo. Alice Oseman is on the train working on a tablet and wearing Lucy and Yak overalls, which are my absolute favorite. And I got very excited when I saw they were wearing them.
Nice.
And she also has a really cute tote bag.
The tote bag is so cute with the rainbow. And I love that they put like her artwork up behind them as well. And we get to see the birds from the End of Friend.
Yeah.
That like animate out of the trees. It's the same birds. So that's like a super cute callback.
I also love that Alice was like drawing Nick and Charlie on
I know.
the tablet while doing that cameo. We'll have to like link the Insta post of the like completed drawing because it's so cute.
It is very cute. And so then they're walking down the street and Nick is covering Charlie's eyes. How long have they been walking? Like, how far is the train stop? That's what I want to know.
Yes, I literally, I was like, this is adorable, but also as a person with anxiety, this is terrifying. It's like,
do we think, do they ever say in the comics, like, has Charlie never been to the beach?
Maybe, I feel like he's maybe been, but it's probably something that's like few and far between.
Just based on his reaction.
Or maybe he's like me and he just fucking loves the beach and would react that way. If someone surprised me with a beach trip, that I was like, oh my God, the beach. And then I would like literally run and I would just like hug the ocean.
Yeah, same. I would just figure it out because I'm very far from, I'm landlocked. So I would be like, oh, we're going towards the coast. Like, the beach would have definitely been one of my guesses.
But yes, Charlie is very excited to be at the beach. Although I find it hard to believe that it took him that long to hear the seagulls. And like put two and two together. Seagulls are very loud, very vocal creatures. Yeah.
And also just like when you're that close to the ocean, there's like a certain, you can hear it. You can feel it in the wind. Like, so
you can smell it.
Interesting. Especially with his eyes covered, like your other senses kind of pick up. So it is interesting that it took him so long, but it makes for a very cute scene.
Yes. And then we get an adorable date montage.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They're on the carousel. They're doing the like face cutout.
On the carousel, Nick looks so happy. Like the smile that he gives during that cut is like happiness personified.
Pure joy. Yeah, it's I love it. It's just a cute little montage.
Yeah, and it's of course it's perfect that Nick gets in the dog as the dog's face and Charlie is the cat.
Of course.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then we see them walking down the street and this kiss when Nick grabs Charlie's face and kisses him in the street, and it's like a very passionate kiss too, is like, it just makes me so happy. Like, look at where we are versus where we started. And like, I also feel like people don't talk about this kiss enough either. Like, everybody focuses on their first kiss, but I think this might be my favorite of their kisses.
It's a really good one.
This one or the one from Friend.
Yeah.
Because that one is very good and very emotional, but this one is different because they're so free in this moment to like, it's just be together. And he kisses them that passionately in the street without thinking twice about it. And like, it just makes me feel so happy.
And then they're like sitting and they're like sharing fries. And Nick is like trying to throw them in the air and catch them. And number one, I want all of the outtakes. Number two, I love that he throws it and he tries to catch it and it hits the corner of his mouth and just falls the wrong way onto the floor. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but the whole time it's falling, he's trying to catch it with his hands too, which is like cute. As if there's not a whole basket of fries. But also we see Charlie like shoving fries into his mouth, which is like very refreshing to see him eating at all in public. Eating, but to be eating in public and to be eating that like
enthusiastically
and quickly. Yeah, enthusiastically. That's yes. And then we get the photo booth.
Charlie's sitting on Nick's lap and it's the cutest thing. And Nick is like pretending to drop Charlie and they get the photos. And I have a question.
Yes.
Have you ever been to a photo booth that like puts the photos on like a 2x2 grid instead of like a 1x4 strip? I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's there. it is a little jarring because especially in a public space like this, it would be like the strips.
Mm-hmm.
But I have been to like weddings and stuff, the higher end photo booths where you get like a page of photos like that. But yes, I wonder if it's not just like a cultural difference in like
Maybe.
What's the standard. But I thought about that too. I was like, this is a very nice, like,
yeah.
Because I think in the comic it's a strip.
Yeah, I think so. But more importantly, when they get the photos, Nick tells Charlie, "You're such a dweeb."
Yeah.
It's so cute.
And it's not in the captions, but I was me, and so I like re-listened to it very loudly a couple of times to listen, and you hear Charlie say like adorable after like, so Nick is like, "You're such a dweeb," and Charlie's like, "We're so cute." Which is like it. Very cute exchange. But also this is not how it happens in the comics either. Like we get the photo booth scene in like a flashback, right? When he's like trying to tell them about like, oh, but remember that time that you wanted me to do a photo booth and I was like, we can't both fit, and you like dragged me onto your lap and like made me do it anyway. And so like it's funny to see it like in this context.
Yes, it's just so happy. It's just so happy. And then we go to the beach. And like I will say, like I have to imagine that laying down on a pebble beach like that isn't the most comfortable thing.
No. And like they only brought towels. Couldn't you have brought like yoga mats or something like that? Something a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
But they're also in their little teenage bodies, so like it probably is not phasing them at all.
Yeah, or at least like double up towels.
Yeah.
Or, like have one as like a head pillow. So many things that I'm just like, you couldn't have just done this slightly more comfortably.
I mean, you know, I have notes about how unprepared they are for this. I all season.
I know. But before we get to Ashley's notes, and also I have some notes about something as well. Nick looks over to Charlie and says he was thinking about coming out, and I start crying, and I don't stop crying.
Yeah. Also, the tone in which he says that, like he's scared but determined.
Yes, it's like the tone of voice that you get. It's the way that like it's like you're kind of like, I have to do this. I want to do this.
Yeah, it's resolved.
Terrified. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And Charlie is so excited.
He jumps up.
Yes. And then like he like tempers it for a second to make sure that it's like really what Nick wants to do. And when he says that he really does, like Charlie becomes the excited puppy dog of the relationship. Yeah. And Nick says, "I know I've been pretty sure of everything for a while, but I'm definitely bisexual."
That line got me.
Yeah.
It gets me every time, but especially the first time when he said, like, "I'm definitely bisexual." I was like, yes!
Hell yeah. He doesn't want to sneak around and pretend that he and Charlie are platonic BFFs. And, like, to be completely fair, after the way that he, like, literally walked off of the field and grabbed Charlie's hand, it's gonna be hard to pretend that you're just platonic BFFs anyway.
It's true.
So, like, you kind of already did come out, Nick. Like,
yeah, it was a soft lunch for sure.
Yeah.
But then he starts to, like, friggin' blush, and he's like, "Oh my god, I like you so much, and I love liking you."
Yes.
And, like, that is the corniest fucking line that melts my heart every time. It works. It just works.
And I would like to just read my next note in its entirety because I feel like you'll appreciate it. Nick stands up, runs to the water, shouts, "I like Charlie Spring," in a romantic way, not just a friend way, and it's so fucking cute. But I also know Ashley is very upset about Nick's shoes.
Okay, so my note says, then, in possibly the most golden retriever-y thing he's done all season, he bursts with energy and jumps up and runs, and then it switches into all caps, into the ocean with his socks and shoes on. What the fuck, Nick Nelson? No. I hate this. I hate it so much. But also, if you pay attention, like, Charlie runs after him, right? Charlie stops just before the water, which I think is like such an accurate representation of these two. Like Nick is like the golden retriever who can't help himself, and Charlie's the cat that's like, haha, oh hell no, I'm not going in that water. Like, you know, like he puts the brakes on and is like, I'm not going in there after you. But also I have to give a shout out to our friend Eliza, because I watched this and I told her, like, you know, you have to watch this. So we were talking after she watched it, and we were like, you know, gushing about it and how good it is. And then she was like, okay, but do you know the one part about this that really bothered me? And I immediately was like, was it Nick running into the ocean with his shoes on? And she was like, yes, why did he do that? And I was like, I don't know. And it made me feel really validated in my frustration with this. It was like, it drives me insane. She was like, how did you know that's what I was going to say? I'm like, because it pulls me out of the scene every single time. I will never let it go. I'm not going to say anymore because I've already complained about it all season. So I'm just going to let it go.
Charlie looks so happy. Like happier than we've seen him all season. Mm-hmm. And like, thinking about the way the episode begins and then the look on his face right now, tears. Yeah. Just non-stop. I am crying an ocean of tears. That ocean is all of my tears.
Yeah. Yes. And like they're laying down listening to music, and Nick says this line about wanting to come out. And that's when Charlie's smile starts. And his smile does not stop until Nick is like kissing him.
Yeah. Until like he physically can't smile anymore. Mm-hmm. He says he never thought this would happen to him. And Nick says, me neither. And then Charlie, my sweet, sweet Charlie.
Oh, my anxious buddy.
Says, Nick, does this mean we're boyfriends?
Nick's reaction is like offended. All of us.
Nick is offended.
He's like, yes. He says, was that not already established the last 10 times we made out? It's so good, though. Like his attitude in that line delivery is perfect.
Okay, but I will say, in Charlie's defense, I also did this, like, you know, been with Eddie, been with him for like, you know, like a week or two, and we're like, you know, several dates in, lots of kissing in. I'm like, so are we, what are we? Can I have a definition of terms, please?
Right, yeah. I mean, I have to have the like verbal validation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, what is this? And then, mirroring friend, he asks, why are we like this?
Yeah.
And then,
oh, buddy. And then Nick goes right back into that motherfucking water.
He scoops Charlie up like a princess and runs into the water. You're my boyfriend. I'm your boyfriend. We're boyfriends.
So cute.
It's adorable.
So cute.
So while you're worried about Nick's shoes, I am focused on my favorite continuity error of the entire show.
Yes.
Because when they are facing out to the water, the back of his pants, or no, the front of his pants are wet like 3/4 of the way up. They're wet like up to the crotch.
Yep.
But when he turns around, only the hem is wet. And then when they get back to the towels, they're back to being 2/3 wet.
Yeah. I noticed the shorts too.
It drives me crazy. That's what gets me in this scene. Like,
I love that he turns around and he says, okay, I think we're wet enough now, right? And he turns around to walk back. And instead of putting him back down on the beach, he carries him all the way back to the towels, which are pretty far away from the water, which is just so cute. And then one of my favorite moments is coming up at the end of this before we go back to the kitchen. Do you have notes in between?
I do, but I'll let you go and then I'll add on anything else that I have to say.
So after he sits him back down, he lays down and Charlie like cuddles up on his chest and he's smiling and just like basking in the sun. And we're staring at his face holding Charlie, but we hear him say, "I'm home," before we cut to the kitchen. And so it's like he's saying he's home because he's got Charlie in his arms and they're finally definitely defined as boyfriends, definitely gonna stay together, and Nick is home and Nick is happy. And I'm just like, oh, it's so cute and so well done that they let that audio like overlap with that scene.
My note is that Nick's look is just like, it's like happiness and peace and like it's like he's home, like it's just like happiness and peace and comfort. And in that moment, I'm willing to forgive the continuity error. And
I'm fully back into it at this point. It's just, as soon as he lays back down, the only other thing is like at the very end when we get the shot of it coming up, I'm like staring at his shoes like those are soaking wet. Take your shoes off, Nick.
But we go back to Nick's house. Sarah is like sitting down at the table. Nick looks super happy, and Sarah notices how happy he looks. And, of course, asks how his day was. And Nick says it was really good. And he gets his N mug again. So I had posited earlier, I was wondering if it was N for Nick or N for Nelson. And I think I'm pretty confident in saying it's N for Nick now. So as he's making his tea, he's like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it's almost like I can hear his thoughts being like, because he like hesitates and he looks up for a second. And he's like, I could just do it now. Like, I could just do it. Like, that's the inner monologue that I hear every time.
All right. Do we want to just scene read this one too?
There's no way I'm going to be able to bring the emotion that Kit Connor brought to this scene.
No, I'm not expecting you to.
Mom, you know Charlie's my best friend?
If you're asking if he can come on our Menorca holiday, the answer is no, because I've already booked the tickets.
No, that's not what I was going to say. He's my boyfriend. Charlie's my boyfriend. I still like girls, but well, I like boys too. And me and Charlie, we're going out. And I wanted you to know.
I'm literally crying. That is not Sarah's line. That is me. Sarah says, "Oh, baby. Oh, thank you for telling me. I'm sorry if I ever made you feel like you couldn't tell me that. And you don't have to say you like girls if you don't."
No, it's definitely not just guys. It's called bisexuality, if you've heard of that.
I have heard of that. I wasn't born in the 18th century. How long have you known?
Well, me and Charlie started going out a couple of months ago, but I started liking him way before that.
I am unwell. Okay. I think we stop there.
It's hard to go on.
Yeah. I have a few notes. First of all, I love the idea that if she hadn't already booked the tickets for the Menorca holiday, that she would have allowed Charlie to go. I also note that before Nick says it, Sarah totally knows, and she kind of looks up, like, and I think she her internal thought process is, okay, it's happening. Let's be supportive, mom. Like, she's like prepared for this, and she's just like, all right, let's go. It's happening. Yeah. It's showtime.
When he says that, oh, that's not what I was going to say. She like fully gives him all of her attention.
It turns on.
Like, so good. And when she says, "How long have you known?" and he says, "Well, and then he pauses before he says, "Me and Charlie started going out." He takes the time to like wipe his tears away in that moment. And that was just like, just the little touches of this scene are so good.
Yeah. I also I find the line where she says, "I wasn't born in the 18th century," like hilarious. Entirely because it's Olivia Colman and she does a lot of period dramas.
Yeah.
And in many of her roles, she was in fact born in the 17th century or 18th century. So I just find it really funny.
And they changed that from the comics.
Yeah.
Because in the comics, she says 1920s. And so it almost makes me wonder if they didn't do that on purpose because it's Olivia Colman.
Oh my God.
This is also the scene that there's like the outtake of where Kit like full on makes Olivia Colman cry and forget her lines.
Yeah, she's
because
like,
she gets
forgot
so
my words.
overwhelmed. Yeah, it's so good. Kit Connor.
I know. I always think about that scene because I'm like, how the fuck must it feel to be Kit, like sitting across from Oscar winner Olivia Colman, like legend, icon, literally played the queen, like all of this shit, and for her to have got so lost in your performance that she forgot what she was supposed to say. Like that's I feel so many things for Kit in that moment.
Yeah. And we know like they've talked about how nervous they were like being on set with her and like she, you know, like and he has said multiple times that this is like the one scene that he like really wanted to make sure he got right. And it's like, you fucking did, bro. You made Olivia Colman cry. Like
you nailed it.
And also like the hesitation and the like fear and stuff is so, I'm going to get emotional. Relatable, because like I came out to my mom sitting at our kitchen table and like the flow of his words when he was trying to get it out is like very spot on for me in my situation. So just that's all I'm going to say, or I'm going to start crying.
Yeah, no, it's and yeah, my note at the end of that scene is Sarah is just so loving and supportive, and I'm crying and Nick is crying and Sarah is crying and everyone is crying. And then they make us cry even more because
with this fucking montage.
I belong in your arms, and it's just this fucking montage of Nick and Charlie moments from the whole season.
And I wrote them all down, did you?
I did not.
Okay, so it starts with day one in form, their first highs. And then we get the bathroom ink cans shot. And then we get Charlie outrunning Nick and scoring at rugby for the first time when Charlie lets out that little giggle and Nick actually falls in love. That scene. And then we get Nick trying to get the snow out of Charlie's curls. And then we get the almost hug at the bowling alley. And we get Nick beaming at Charlie playing at the concert. And then I've forgotten your term, but it's the tackle hug from when
Hug-a-tackle.
Nick comes out. Hug-a-tackle. I was like, whatever that term was. It's Charlie's hug-a-tackle after he tells Charlie that he came out to Tara and they're kissing. And then it's Nick holding Charlie at the beach back in the present. And he says, Charlie looks up and says, so now we're going to tell people? And Nick looks down at him and goes, yeah.
Charlie's so happy.
Yeah. It says, Charlie is beaming, Nick is beaming, I am beaming, my heart is full, the end.
Yeah. My note is shot widens overhead, background becomes animated in Alice's style, episode ends, I cry.
Yeah. Oh my God. So we already know what my favorite quote is.
I have two.
Okay.
I could not pick. I have a serious one and a fun one. My serious one is actually also don't let anyone make you disappear. It's so important and so good and it's great in the moment. But also, this has been like a favorite quote of mine since I read the comics. But you're my boyfriend. I'm your boyfriend. We're boyfriends.
We're boyfriends.
Just running into, I love it. That I've been thinking if I were to get any like part of the comics like framed on my wall, it would be that
cute
page.
I love that. If I had to pick a silly one, it would be, no, I'm going to stay pissed off at him a bit longer.
That's fair. That's a good one, too.
I love that one. And then I broke the scale this time.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
I chose 30 out of 5.
Oh, I chose 100 out of 5.
Listen, I started high and then I was like, how am I going to get 100 hearts on this little... on this little
I'm not
post
sorry.
for Instagram.
I'm not sorry.
And then we did it. We have finished season 1. How do you feel?
I have
Yep, me too.
Well, that just about wraps us up for today. Of course, even though the season is over, we are not done. So this is a bi-weekly podcast by two bisexuals, and we will be back in 2 weeks with a special bonus episode all about the music of Heartstopper.
And it's very fun. And
it's
chaotic.
very fun. Yes.
So if you want to follow us online, we are at Why Are We Cast on all platforms. And if you like this, please consider rating and reviewing us, as it will help others find us. And thank you to everyone who has been doing the reviews. They're all really sweet and they mean a lot.
Yeah. And until next time, bye.
Bye.